प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय रामृतदुहे नमः। Two verses we saw last in this chapter 5 were indeed mind-blowing. Even while doing a variety of things, a wise man or a wise lady does not see it as doing anything at all. She rather looks at her sense organs of action, or her mind being active. Aren't you active? If we ask her, she would say, Naiva kinchit karomi. I am not doing anything at all. Pashyan Shanvan Sprishan Jigran. There was a long list of actions. While seeing, while hearing, while touching, while enjoying, while eating, while drinking, while getting up, while sitting down. If 10 or 12 are mentioned, 100 others are implied. People say we are getting stressed. From a spiritual point of view, every one of us should again and again remember that it's an error in perception. When we erroneously think we are doing, then a number of things follow. One of them is undue stress. When we have right seeing, samyak darshana, I am not doing anything at all, there simply cannot be psychological stress. Functionally, the body may get tired, but you are looking at the body that is tired and you may go for some rest. But all kinds of labels, all kinds of judgments, all kinds of notions about yourself. Oh, I am not a good performer. I am not doing well these days. I am lazy. I am slow. Or I am too fast. Many such self-judgments simply cannot stand the heat of self-inquiry. When there are no labels put upon ourselves, there is bound to be peace. Someone may say, all that is fine, but even after knowing our own pure self, which is ever complete, never in want of anything, we may be doing something. No harm in earning some money anyhow. No harm in getting a bit popular in the town, you see. No harm in seeing some new places, and no harm in trying out some new recipes, enjoying it a little bit. What's wrong? Etc. Shankaracharya, being a great sannyasi, a champion of Nivritti Marga, says at the end of his commentary on the verses 8 and 9, he says, Nahi mragatrashnikayam udakapanaya pravrittaha udaka abhavajnane api tatra eva pana prayojanaya pravartate. Somebody who thought there was water while traveling on a desert realizes that there is no water, udaka abhava. Will he put even one step further towards that spot where there was the illusion of water, where it was actually a mirage? Likewise, Adi Shankara makes a strong case for those who have a deep and steady understanding of the Nishkarma Atma. No wonder Sureshwara wrote a whole work, Naishkarmya Siddhi. How one may arrive at right seeing. It's not about doing or not doing really. So once in a while, like King Janaka, may be doing things. But more than doing or not doing, the main point is you will no more look at action as belonging to you. You no more want success. You no more want fame, name. You no more want to build something, go somewhere, enjoy something. Imagining if I enjoy that, aha, I will feel better. This idea, I am not feeling good and an ice cream will make me feel better, is to be questioned. Who am I? Who needs to feel better? Who is feeling low? And again, we come to know that this feeling low, feeling lonely, feeling left out, feeling unattended, feeling lack of attention, feeling people are not giving me the importance that I deserve, etc., etc. All of them are psychological. They are not the reality. The truth is, I am ever full. This is Advaita Vedanta in a practical context. Following this, we have the 10th verse, which is perhaps one of the maybe top 10 verses quoted extensively by speakers or writers on Bhagavad Geetā, especially because it has such an uplifting metaphor. Like the lotus leaf, not lily leaf. Lily leaf gets wet. It's the real lotus leaf which doesn't get wet at all, even if a mug of water is sprinkled upon it, splashed upon it. Padma patram na lipyate. The lotus leaf does not get wet. Adi Shankara says, Yastu punaha atatvavit pravrittasya karma yoge. It's not everybody's cup of tea to be a tattvavit. Vast majority among us are atattvavit. We don't know, or even if we have certain deep appreciation, we enjoy Vedanta, but maybe because of our vasanas, urges, maybe because of the wound that we are nursing, some old hurt, or we want to settle score with somebody and after that all spirituality. First I want to teach this lady a lesson, etc. That is called psychology. And we allow psychology to bind us, then it's a major hurdle in our march towards spiritual excellence. So yastu punaha atatvavit. Because of something lingering in her or him, this person is not able to stay on the high plateau. He may be a Vedanta teacher. He might have written 20 books on Vedanta. He might be having 25 disciples. All that is external. In his mind, in his understanding, what does he think of himself? If he thinks I am the pure self, not just saying the words like a parrot also can do, but he sees. Yap pashyati sapashyati. He who sees, sees. There is a new series of podcasts by somebody who has been studying Gita for 30 years, whom I happen to know closely. He has launched a podcast series. Go to your podcast player on your smartphone, be it the podcast on Apple phones, or there are so many. Spotify is one of the very popular apps. Spotify, Spotify, Spotify. Download Spotify, probably it is free, and then search for Yap Pashyati Sapashyati. Yah, Y-A-H, Pashyati, P-A-S-H-Y-A-T-I. Saha, Sa, S-A, Pashyati. Yap Pashyati Sapashyati. That's a punchline of Bhagavad Gita, which the speaker there claims appears at two places. I guess it may appear in slightly modified form in more than two places. One we saw in this chapter only. Ekam Sankyam cha Yogam cha Yap Pashyati Sapashyati. Another comes later. So, he who sees, sees. It's about seeing. You see that you are not a doer. But Atatvavit, he is unable to see. He enjoys hearing this. But right in the Vedanta class or after coming out, he thinks of his enemy and says, I may be Brahman, but today this Brahman will first teach a lesson to that fellow who cannot be Brahman. I am Brahman and he is the last person to be Brahman. How can he be? Etc. If there are such thoughts, then you are an Atatvavit. Atatvavit kim karoti? Karma yoge pravrittaha bhavati. The best thing is, next best to Atmanishta is Karma yoge pravritti, engaged in Nishkama karma. And Sri Krishna once more praises Nishkama karma so much that he once more maintains the stand that Karma Yoga in full bloom brings you to the very threshold of Atmanishta. So in this famous shloka, Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate na sa papena padmapatram iva ambhasa. This shloka seems to be an echo of the second mantra of Ishavasya Upanishad, at least in part. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishet shatam samaha evam tvai na anyatha itaha asti na karma lipyate nare. Na karma lipyate nare. Karma nare na lipyate. Karma yogi यद्यपि कर्म करोति बहूनि कर्माणि करोति तथापि कर्मयोगी कर्मभिः न लिप्यते. कथम यथा पद्मपत्रम उदकेन अंबसा जलेन वारिणा न लिप्यते. पद्मपत्रम इव अंबसा कर्मभिः yogi na lipyate. How? What is his secret? Brahmani adhaya karmani. While performing anything, right at that time he says, I am not doing this for my self-gratification. I am not doing this to get more admirers, more fans, more people who praise me, who look up to me, who follow me. No, he has thrown all those old ideas into the trash can. Then what is his understanding? I am doing this as an offering to God. Brahmani adaya karmani sangam tyaktva. Even as it detects a tiny wave of attachment to things, places, persons, to hobbies, habits, to an idea of who he is, an idea of who he was, who he can be. All these ideas are just let go of. Sangam tyaktva, no attachment. Please remember, that doesn't mean he sits in a corner of a room waiting for the next meal to be served. No way. There are only two possibilities. What is in the present context is he is as active as anybody else with high efficiency, high effectiveness. Sri Kumar Rao, the author of Modern Wisdom, Ancient Roots, gives an example how the within of a karma yogi is so silent, though outwardly he is very active. The metaphor or the example or the analogy or the comparison he gives is of our ear. Of all things, he takes up ear. When you are going around, going about things entire day, do you ever, he asks, think about your ear? Do you ever touch your ear? I hope it's in place. Hope my ear has not fallen away. Nobody bothers. Even as you are using your ears to hear things, you don't think about the organ called ear. The ear is in, as far as your consciousness is concerned, it's silent. You don't think about the ear. Unless, he says, you have some infection, and the ear is paining, some accident happened and your ear is injured. Then again and again you say, oh, this ear of mine got injured yesterday. That rarely happens. Otherwise, you're using the ears, but you are not conscious of the ears. Likewise, he says, you are using your mind, you are using your senses, you are using your organs of action, you are active, but there is a certain unbelievable silence, rest, repose right inside you. Kurvannapi na karoti, kurvannapi na lipyate, naiva kinchit karomi. All that which are directly the description of an Atmanishta Purusha or Mahila can be description of a Karma Yogi too. Only the Karma Yogi touches it and as though slips back. Again touches it, slips back. Acts of service give to him such blissful experience. People who are inspired workers do not feel any stress or tiredness. Thomas Edison, I believe, would be so absorbed in his work, and morning 4:30 or so, he would just doze off on the table of his laboratory and then get up at some point of time, have his breakfast, again get back to work, lost in work. Though I must hasten to add, a scientist's absorption in work is not the same as either Karma Yoga or Atmanishta. Absorption is like a child may get absorbed in a toy. A new toy has come to the child and she is so happy with the toy, with the doll, lost in it, not even aware of hunger or thirst. But absorption, which is not wisdom, has a great parallel. to wisdom and the stress reduction or stress elimination in spiritual wisdom. Therefore, we give it as an example. So, to complete the reference to Edison, once his cook played a mischief for the fun of it. Thomas Edison had not taken breakfast really, but was asleep on his work desk. Normally, the cook would place some bread and butter, bread toast with butter smeared upon it, etc. And Edison would get up in between, eat some, have some coffee maybe, then continue with his work, etc. But for a change, the cook did one thing. He kept a plate with few crumbs of bread, and he had put some butter by the side, and he smeared some butter on the lips of his master. And after some time, when Edison got up and saw there were a few little pieces of bread on the plate, he wondered, did I eat already? Did I have breakfast already? Maybe I did. Ah. By then the cook came. He asked the cook, have I taken my breakfast already? He is not sure. The cook says, of course, sir. Touch your lips, you will see the butter shows on your lips. Thomas Edison touched his lips and found some butter sticking to his fingers. Oh, thank you, thank you. I didn't realize, but yeah, I have eaten breakfast already. He goes back to work. You see, not even aware of whether he had food or not. Likewise, there is something called absorption. Once more, absorption is no sign of spiritual heights. In some pleasure, in some celebration, people lose themselves. That is not wisdom. But in wisdom, there is the same letting go of all care and concern out of right seeing. Thomas Edison, good man, pious man apparently, a very naive and very simple-hearted man. We have many humorous stories about him. How he was not attached to money. He didn't know what to do with money when he got a lot of money for one of his inventions. All that is okay, but he did not have any spiritual wisdom. Surely his biographers missed certain episodes in his life where he too cried, he too felt disappointed, he too felt frustrated, he too might have felt even suicidal, I would imagine. He might have gone through 100 negative emotions at certain times, like any other human being would go through. But Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva. I said karma bihi na lipyate. The shloka itself says papena na lipyate. He is not affected by sin. What is sin? Sin is agitations. As Swami Chinmayananji says, sin is not in action, it is in reaction. When a man does things which are against his own values, if not at that moment, a little later, if not a little later, much later at some point of time in his life, he has enormous guilt, enormous shame. During the Kalinga war, King Ashoka apparently did not care, went on killing people. But later, he was filled with so much remorse. Then he understood that war was a crime, war was sinful, rather than something to celebrate. He understood it is something where I should cry now, I should weep, I should regret, I should repent. Thus, there was the reaction. Sometimes the reaction may come later. The conscience may speak up later. So, papa, so reactions, negative emotions, sorrow, repentance, guilt, shame, fear, low self-esteem, being useless, being a burden on the earth, and 100 things come to our mind. They are all papa. Papa can be papa karma, papa can be the karma phala. Lipyate na sa papena. When there is complete surrender to God, there is no bondage anymore. Brahmani here means Ishvare, because you have doership, but you have offered it to the God, to the Lord, to God. Brahmani Ishvare Adhaya Nikshipya, placing everything at the feet of God. That is the sure way of letting go of our attachment. Somebody comes and gives you a wonderful gift. You say thank you. But next moment, in your mind, you don't have to tell your friend, this doesn't belong to me. In your mind, you say, this belongs to God. It will be with me for some time, but it belongs to God. Through this friend who has given me this gift, this article has apparently become my possession. But this article, an expensive gift, is God's. Nikshipya. Tadartham karomi. Whatever I do is to make God happy. Bhratyaha iva swami artham. A servant, a loyal servant, a devoted servant does things for his master. Swami here means master. Sarvani karmani mokshe api phale sangam tyaktva. In his mind, he doesn't even aim at moksha. So a Tippanakara has rightly written that he doesn't think, I have let go of my attachments because I want liberation. So that thought, for the sake of liberation, I have left my attachment to karma or karma phala. That doesn't bother him. He actually has. He has actually let go of things for moksha, but he doesn't entertain that thought. Because thought is a culprit. Thought brings artificiality. When you love a flower and keep gazing at it, you don't say, how nice, what a nice flower in 3 languages, 5 languages. You behold it and there is enjoying of the flower, its beauty, its fragrance, how the morning sunlight is reflected upon it, how a bee has meanwhile descended upon it, landed upon it, sucking the nectar from that flower. You're watching a lot of things. There is great silence in your mind. And you don't say, there is no need to say. I mean, you may say before, after, or at some point, but at the moment of deep appreciation, you don't say. So this person would have engaged in Nishkama Karma with some understanding. I don't want anything, I want only moksha. But very soon, he forgets. He does not think about it. Mokshe api phale sangam tyaktva na papena sambhadyate padmapatram iva ambasa udakena. I have seen a few times, lotus leaf. Mostly everywhere we see the lily. And we see that the leaves are pretty wet, very much wet. And we say, what is Geetā talking? Go to a true lotus plant. Lotus leaves are thick, and they have a little different shape. I saw on a few occasions. One of them was at the campus of Chinmaya International Foundation, Adi Shankara Nilayam in Kochi. Right in the campus, there were lotus plants. And yes, even if you take 300 ml of water and put it upon the leaf with force, the leaf does not get wet. The water forms into bubbles like mercury bubbles and run away. Or some bubbles might sit upon the leaf, but they don't make the leaf wet by spreading over the surface. केवलं सत्त्वशुद्धिमात्रफलमेव तस्य कर्मणः स्यात्. Are you saying that when he offers all his work to God and is not attached to the phala, the work is done and God is happy, but nothing comes to him? No, there is a very wonderful result that comes to him. That is sattva shuddhi, that is antakarana shuddhi. With or without his realizing what is happening, he finds his mind being more cheerful. His mind is not stressed. His mind is so light. He sleeps well. Even his bodily functions should improve. Better digestion, better breathing, any physiological functions are happening better. A whole lot of medical bills can come down if you and I take up karma yoga. That doesn't mean we don't take salary at the end of the month. Don't be lacking in common sense. Understand your own strengths, limitations. Work, take your salary, but in that work, which has a good salary also, you have either customers or clients or schools, what you call, patients or students, etc. Every work has certain people who receive the benefits from your work. So, let your outlook be how all of them may be benefited to the best possible extent, and how by that God will be pleased. So if you are a teacher at a college, you teach with great dedication. Some students may make fun of you. Some students might, for whatever reason, not like you. Some students might try to harm you also. Take due care, not that you allow people to walk over you, use you as a doormat. No. Use common sense. But while tackling those in your own way, basically, again and again, try to give your best to the students. If you are a lawyer, give your best to your clients. If you are a doctor, give your best to your patients. Like was at home, let the husband give his best to the wife and children, let the wife give her best to the husband and children, and so on. The children should give their best. Then you will find sattva shuddhi. Over a length of time, where was that stress? Where was that lust or greed or anger or guilt? Hey, it's a long time since I had any of those negative emotions. Interesting, you would yourself say. Then Bhagavad Gita is proved sattva shuddhi matrena or sattva shuddhi matram phalam tatra. Therefore, yasmat, says Sri Shankara. Yasmat means because this is so, therefore. Yasmat goes with tasmat. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindriyairapi yoginah karma kuruvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. 11th verse says, sometimes the action may be just by the physical body. sometimes with the mind, sometimes with the buddhi, or just with senses. Just you are looking at something, understanding something, hearing something. So Adi Shankara in his commentary says the word Kevala goes with Kevalena Kayena, Kevalena Manasa, Kevalaya Buddhya, Kevalaihi Indriyaihi. By just the sense organs, by just the body, by just the mind, meaning putting away or keeping away the sense of doership. Atma Shuddha, why do they do all this? It's for Swa Shuddhi. Atma here means Swa. Atma doesn't mean the pure self. Therefore, just having a dictionary doesn't take us far. Dictionary gives several meanings, but what meaning applies here? Atma Shuddha, my Sachidananda Atma needs a little cleaning. Please don't say that. Your true nature does not require any cleaning. You just need to see. You need to see who you are. But this antakarana with which you are presently identified, sadly enough, day and night you think you are this body, you are this personality, you are the one who made money, you are the one who lost money, and so on. Isn't it a tragedy that in spite of so much Vedanta that people have heard, 99.999% of Vedanta students and Vedanta teachers also are desirous. What desirous? They are dependent on certain results. They are hoping. Even if somebody is running an ashram, if the person is hoping that my ashram should become a big place and should have a lot of donation coming in so that I can relax on an easy chair. The ashram runs. There are some crazy ideas, forgetting that first comes what we give to the society. On a practical note, yes, donations are needed. So we must work towards donations too. We are not saying refuse donations. In a certain Buddhist monastery on the east coast of USA, at the entrance itself there is a board. No donation expected. It's a charitable body and it says no donation expected. No donation expected. But second line, there is a second line. It also says no donation refused. Just a moment. It's too much sun. I like that pair of sentences. No donation expected and no donation refused. Therefore, there's a very balanced outlook there. People can come, attend the classes, join the meditations, have a meal too, and who knows, maybe at that Buddhist monastery, a visitor could even stay 1 or 2 nights without being charged, maybe. Nothing expected. But while leaving, if she opens her purse and gives her $200 for the 2 or 3 days that she has stayed and enjoyed the programs, the monk there receives it. Says, in Buddhism they don't use the word God. If it were a Hindu ashram, the monk may say, God bless you. May Shiva bless you. Right? A Buddhist monk may say something else. Wish you well, without bringing God into the picture. Shankaracharya says, Mamatva varjitai. Kevalaihi here means without a sense of This is my body, this is my senses, this is my mind, my intellect, without comparing. My buddhi is much better than her buddhi, his buddhi, you see. No, no, no. This is my mamatva buddhi shunyaihi indriyairapu. So if you don't have the sense of I, me and my, what drives the work? Ishwaraya karma karomi. What drives our work is that surrender to God. Hanuman flies across the ocean. What made him fly, embark upon such an arduous task, was his deep devotion to Sri Rama. Kevala Shabdaha Kayadibhirapi Pratyekam Sambhadyate Sarva Vyapareshu Mamata Varjanaya. The word Kevalaihi goes with all the activities, all the instruments. Kevalena Sharirena, Kevalena Manasa, Kevalaya Buddhya, Kevalaihi Pranaihi, Kevalena whatever other limbs, Kevalaya Vacha, you speak without a notion of mamatva. Sarva vyapareshu mamata varjana yoginaha karma kurvanti sangam tyakva phala vishayam atma shuddhaye sattva shuddhaye. Atma shuddhi doesn't mean here Sachidananda Atma has to be clean. No way. There is no need. Antakarana shuddhi. Tasmat tatraiva tava adhikaraha iti kuru karmaiva. Shankaracharya connects the matter to Arjuna specifically. In view of all this, since you are not on that level A, you are not on level B2, you are level C because you have so much rajas in you. Your swadharma involves a lot of identification with causes, with justice, with fairness, with what is the right thing to do and what the right way to do that right thing and so on. Therefore, tasmat karmaiva kuru. Do karma and karma only. Let's read one more verse. This is one of my favorites in the entire Gita. It puts in contrast those who are well connected with God, with that understanding. My life now is an offering to God. My life, for rest of my life, I will not seek anything for myself. Enough is enough. Whatever comes my way is God's prasada. But I will do things that makes God happy with. It's for Him to be happy. If God is happy, if I live in a little hut, so be it. If God is happy if I live in a palace, so be it. I am neither attached to a palace nor attached to a hut, etc. So, in 100 ways, you may describe this outlook. So, if one is thus connected with God, one is called yukta. If one is not connected, which implies one is very much attached to me and my. I must have a big house and my neighbors or my colleagues at work should know what kind of house I have these days. I'll call them for a cup of tea one day and let them all see what big house I have acquired now. What do they think of me? Etc. If the ego is making noise. So we read the shloka for now. Yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayuktah kamakarena phale sakto nibadhyate. One attains peace, shantim, another attains or another gets into badhyate, bandhana. We'll examine the significance of this later in the next class. Meanwhile, More are saying Shubh Deepavali to all of you. Happy Diwali.